Hey everybody, my name is Rustin, and today I'll be showing you how to create a simple pitch deck to use when you're reaching out to companies. While parts of this tutorial may apply to other industries, please understand that this deck is geared to content creators and influencers specifically in the gaming industry. The purpose of a pitch deck is to help yourself stand out amongst hundreds or potentially thousands of other applicants. If you're looking to partner with companies or reach out to game studios for game keys, a pitch deck gives the person reviewing your application a quick and easy overview about who you are as a creator, your stats, and how partnering with you specifically will benefit both parties in a way that makes sense. Also, quick disclaimer, I'm not a graphic designer by any stretch of the imagination, so please bear with me here. I've also linked to my website below. Please know that I threw this together over the weekend to have an easy to access portal for you to download the example deck. So if you'd like to have that for reference, it's free on my goofy little site, which I will put in the description below. So let's get started. So just to give you an overview, this is the sample pitch deck that I threw together over the weekend. Just highlighting a few things about content, about who you are as a channel, the value proposition that you bring, channels and metrics where you create content and where you have engagement from your viewers. And then always remember, put your email in your bio if you're reaching out to game studios specifically. Many times that is how companies and studios will primarily contact you, and having that easily accessible is always beneficial. So the website that I used to create this pitch deck is canva.com. You can sign up for a free account, and just to give you a quick overview of what you can do within Canva, there are templates for Instagram posts, infographics, Twitch banners, presentations. For the purposes of the pitch deck, we're going to be looking at the presentation template. There is a paid version of Canva that you are more than welcome to purchase, but what I wanted from this tutorial is something that's completely free and easy to use, so that if you don't really want to pay the $13 a month for Canva Pro, you don't have to. For the purposes of this pitch deck, we're simply going to go to presentation. And then what I did was just scroll through and find one that I liked. So one that was visually pleasing and also very simple to use. If I search the templates here for sales deck and scroll down, the one that I chose for this sample pitch deck is this one here, design and technology. Now, if I click on this, I can see all 26 pages that are included in the template. Now, if I click apply all 26 pages, it will populate every single page with each variation. And what I did from here is basically just pick and choose which ones I wanted to use and which ones didn't really apply. So what I would recommend is starting with the first one here. In this example, I just put my name here, or for your use case, you would just use like your channel name, and then I got rid of this just by hitting delete. So all of these pages are interactive. You can move things around. I would recommend just putting in sponsor pitch deck. That way, whoever is reviewing the application can easily see, okay, I understand what this is. It's a pitch deck on this person's content. Now, let's say also that you want to include your logo. For the sake of illustration, I'm actually just going to use this frame here. A frame essentially just creates the shape, and then I'm just going to use an image of me. Now, whenever I drag and drop, it'll put it into the Canva library of images. I've already uploaded this one. So if I just drag and drop it here, then it takes this image and puts it into this circle here. Now, I don't really need this, so I'm just going to press delete and it'll remove it. So then the second page that I want to include is just a quick summary of who I am as a creator and why they should care. We'll just put about Rustin Cavill, if I can spell my name. You don't have to include anything here at all. You don't have to use all of the fields that it gives you. Now, for the sake of this, basically just want to give a quick overview. I began creating content on YouTube in 2018 as a creative outlet to relieve stress from a high pressure corporate environment. I'll throw some other text in here that I've already developed, but essentially what you want to do in this field is just to give a little glimpse about who you are, and you want to tell a story. You definitely want to bring in some of the emotional aspect of why you create content and what got you into it in the first place. Things like that just help the person who's reviewing get a better feel for who you are as a person, and not just as a creator. And that's important because in the gaming industry, business is about people. And if we can understand who you are as a creator, your values, it makes it a lot easier for us to want to work with you. So I didn't really change anything else here. I just put some text in here and then a little bit about myself. Now I can always move this around if I want to. Now keep in mind, all of this text here is simply for illustration purposes. I would recommend writing your own content here. I'm just pretty much putting a placeholder in each of these slides to give you a better idea of what type of content should be included for those slides. Now, if we continue scrolling down, this one's pretty neat. I kind of like the design behind it, but I don't really think that we necessarily need it. So I'm just going to delete that page. Also, I'm just going to delete these two as well. Now, if you create content on multiple platforms and want to leave little snippets of your content, you can do so here. But for my case, I'm just going to delete this page as well, along with this one, this one. This slide is interesting. I highly recommend that you look through each of the slides to see if any would apply to your specific circumstances. I like the idea of a timeline just to be able to get a feel for how long you've been creating content. For many companies and for many game studios who are offering things to content creators, they want to see that you've been doing this for a while. In most cases, they want to know that you have the stability and consistency of creating content and that they can rely on that for future content as well. Companies who are onboarding partners or studios who want to work with content creators, their intention is to build a long-term relationship. Now, there are cases in which this isn't the case, such as a campaign for a game launch or something like that, where they're just offering a key and expecting X number of hours of gameplay on Twitch or a review on YouTube or something like that. But if you're approaching any companies for products or services or software or anything like that, they want to know that you've been doing this for a while because most likely they're anticipating working with you for a long period of time. I'm just going to change this here. Just going to put in content timeline. And then what we're going to include are key milestones. Now, also you can change this text as well. So you can change the size of the text. You can change the color of the text. I think for this one, I do want to change the font. We're just going to go with Roboto and we're going to reduce the size just a little bit. So then for this too, these are all just elements that you can move around within the slide itself. And let's say that you had 5 or 6 different key milestones that you wanted to use. Then we can move this to the left and we can move this underneath. And there will always be these guidelines as well to make sure that you are getting everything even and visually appealing within each slide. So then if I wanted to duplicate it, I can just copy and then I'll paste it here. Also, I didn't know this, but you can reshape those if that suits your fancy as well. For the sake of this, I'm just going to remove that. I don't really need it, and let's get everything aligned here. So here in 2017, just put my first stream on Twitch. And then for this one, expanded to YouTube, made Twitch affiliate. Let's say that you hit 1,000 subscribers in 2019 on YouTube. And let's say that you grew to 20 CCV on Twitch. So 2020, let's say that you grew to 2,200 subscribers and you're now at 47 CCV over past 90 days. Highly encourage you to make sure that those stats are accurate, because if there are any kind of overinflation of stats within this pitch deck that don't align with stats that we can see, the chances of your application being approved are slim to none. Just be honest in your numbers, be honest in your stats. Most of the time, whenever someone sees a deck like this that you put some time and energy and effort into, they'll look at that over the numbers anyway. anyways. But it's always good because there are certain companies as well as studios that have minimum requirements on number of following and certain other metrics. Even if your sales presentation is fantastic, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will get that partnership with that company. At least from my experience in my role, numbers play a very small role in determining who I partner with. And there are plenty of times in which I partner with smaller channels over the larger ones. I rely a lot on just like vibes of who that person is and whether they align with the brand. So the next one is this one here, importance of design. I like this. I like the fade of color. I like that there's plenty of contrast. It makes it easy to read. Again, we don't want to fill each slide with just a ton of information. We want to make sure that it's easy to read, because if I can quickly glance at this and not feel overwhelmed at the amount of information that's there, there's a better likelihood that I'll actually read it and want to engage with you as a creator. So for this one, I'm a variety creator, primarily centered around RPGs and platformers, something like that. I think I'm going to actually make this one a little bit bigger here. And then this one, I'm gonna put diversity. And then I'm just gonna copy paste some of the text that I wrote this weekend. And then again, I can move this around as I see fit. You can always make it larger, smaller. You can add more points if that suits your brand and your content. And something to keep in mind, this is just a small watermark that the designer put onto it. You can delete it just by highlighting it and hitting delete. I liked this one. Let's say that you are approaching a larger company for a full-on sponsorship, but let's say that you have a couple of deals with other brands and you want to display the partners that you work with. So let's say that brand A that you work with is gamer stuff. And then in this box, we can include things like how long you've worked with them, what your value proposition is to them. So if it's simply a activation or a campaign based on uplift or exposure, you can always include that here with how long that you've worked with them. And again, this builds credibility, of course, based on who you're working with in the industry, and might help you land bigger contracts and bigger sponsorships through it. So let's say that the second one is gamer juice. There are a lot of beverage companies in the gaming industry. And let's move this up, get it centered. Again, we can move this around as necessary. You can say that you've been affiliated with them for X amount of time. And if you do have current affiliations with companies and understand how the affiliate links work, you can always include the number of conversions or the number of clicks that you receive through that. It just helps bolster their trust in your ability to influence others to engage with their brand. And then let's say that you run a merch line for yourself. But yeah, that's just a few examples of things that you can use. For this one, I don't really need this, so I can just click and drag over the entire set of elements here and just delete them all. Now, since everything is kind of off-centered here, I'm just gonna move all three of these, get them all nice and centered, and done. All right, moving on. This is one that I'm not really going to use for this example. It feels a little bit shallow in design, and you don't necessarily want to just put more slides for the sake of having more slides. Honestly, if you kept this slide deck between 4 and 8 slides would be beneficial. You don't want to have this pitch deck so content heavy that it makes it very difficult to run through. Someone should still be able to work through this in 20 or 30 seconds, a minute, and be able to get a good grasp of who you are and whether they want to continue talking with you. Because remember, the pitch deck is just to help you get in the door. It's not necessarily everything that will be spoken about. In most cases, these companies will reach out to you based on your application. You can always expand on that. This is simply to set yourself apart and get that first interview, so to speak. So we're gonna remove this slide here. I'm gonna get rid of this one as well. If you do have some really interesting facts that would be value adding to the organization, then you can always use this slide here. Again, we don't really need this one. Now, this slide is interesting. Let's say that this is your follower metrics or something like that, or your growth metrics or engagement metrics over time. Then you could always say, 20 first year, and then we grew to, 35 viewers, and then we grew to 76. And then now we're at 200 and we want to be at 500 or something like that. Then it automatically creates the graph for you. So this is just a quick and easy way to be able to make a line chart if it adds value to your story. If it doesn't, then just omit it. So for this case, we're going to omit it. Same with this one, we don't really need it. Get rid of this one as well. This template has like 26 pages and we're going to condense it to under 10. So I'm really just looking for the ones that are most suited to my goals and the things that I want a company to know about myself whenever I'm applying. So I thought that this one is interesting. If you are a organization, let's say that you're a Twitch meetup group and you want a company to get a feel for all of the creators who are involved or the organizers, this is a great place to be able to put images and maybe a little snippet about those people. For this case, we're just going to include a couple. So I'm going to get rid of those. I'm actually going to move these over so that they're aligned properly. So we're going to put that here. And then we'll put this one here, and then we'll probably have to move them again. But again, for my example, I'm just gonna put my face there and then my puppy. So this is Kula. She's crazy, but she kind of runs the place. And then obviously myself. And then here, we're just gonna put content creator. So you could put titles, you could put a little snippet about yourself here. So if you wanted to have a border around it, you can choose from all of these different borders. So let's say that you wanted to have a snippet of you on stream with your chat or something like that. You could always drag one of these here and be able to insert custom images into there as well. Again, it doesn't really apply for this example, so we're just going to get rid of it. Now, I probably would recommend putting frames around these with a little bit of a border just to soften the edges of the image itself. Now you want to make sure that these photos are about the same size. And then if you wanted to include information on how to get in touch with you, it doesn't really apply for this example. This one, however, does. So this is actually how we're going to display our channels of content along with our metrics. So you can always just either keep like channels here, or you can do metrics. But again, just so that you remember what should be here, we're going to do channels, metrics. And I noticed whenever I deleted everything, then it wasn't bold. We're going to make that bold again. Now, if you want to mix and match these, however it best suits you, and I'm going to add Twitch. Okay, so if we go to elements, we can type in Twitch. And most of these you can see are available only through Pro. However, there are a few down here that are free. So I'm just going to drag and drop the logo here. So for this, I want to include, let's say I've got, X number of followers, X amount of view time, and then approximately, because this varies so much from week to week, CCV. And then we're actually going to use the official Twitter icon as well. So we're going to go up here. We're going to search Twitter. We're going to find the bird. I believe it's this one. Rid of this. Oops. To do that. You can always press Control Z too if you do something that you didn't intend to go back to the way that it was. Again, we're just going to try to line it up, make them about the same size, and then you can put your handle, your followers. Oh, something very, very important. So if I click on this icon here, I can actually use this button up here and link. I would highly recommend you do that. So twitter.com/Rustin Cavill. Apply it. Same with Twitch. Twitch.tv. And then with Instagram, we're going to find this image here. So we're going to delete this one, drag this over, resize, and link. Now, if you have a YouTube channel, then you can always move these over as well. Makes it really, really easy to be able to manipulate all of the elements and include and remove what you don't want. So let's just look up YouTube. Gosh, what is the newest icon? There's so many. Let's grab this one. And then I want the box with the same formatting. So I'm just going to copy and paste. That way we can move it. Then we'll type in YouTube. And then again, X number of subscribers. You can put overall views, lifetime views, link to the channel, whatever metrics best suit your project. Again, we're going to get rid of the little design watermark there. And then here are a few other icons that you can use. I'm going to delete this page as well. Now, something to keep in mind is the order of all of the slides. So you definitely want the title screen with your logo. It just looks nice whenever you first open it. A little bit about yourself. Again, just that quick snapshot of who you are as a creator, what got you started, your timeline, content snapshot, partners. Now, I want to keep this one toward the end simply because it's more filler than anything. You don't have to include this slide. I included it here just to be able to show you how you can mess with some of the elements if you are working with a team. And then this one, I actually want to move up. So if you just click on this arrow here, you can actually move it up in order. So I want to put this one behind the content milestones, before the content snapshot. Now, something to keep in mind and something that I would highly recommend is creating a page. So you can just create a new page. You can always go back to your template and you can find a slide that best suits what you're looking for. But the one that we want to add will be, what is your value proposition to that brand? What are you bringing to the table? Why should they work with you over someone else? In the example of you reaching out to a game studio, let's say that a new game just released and you're requesting a key for it. You could put, I am requesting a key for whatever game to showcase to my community. In return, I offer the following. And then just very quickly bullet. So I'm going to use an emoji here. I'm just going to find a dark bullet here. Quick bulleted list. Honest and thorough review of the game. Because let's be honest, if you're getting a game code for free, you need to be leaving reviews, an honest and thorough review, not simply just because they gave you the key. Actually play the game and actually review it. We're going to offer blank number of hours of streaming content over the next however many days. For title uplift. Now, uplift in influencer marketing is just a term that best relates to exposure. It's an emotional connection that someone has with a brand because of the person that is recommending it. So if your best friend recommends Apple products or Android products or whatever it may be, you have an emotional reaction to that brand based on your trust and your like of your best friend. Well, influencing a community and a group of viewers is the exact same way. And so you're creating an emotional attachment to that brand or to that game or to that title with your viewers just based on the way that you perceive it and the way that you interact with it. So the best terms would be uplift or exposure. We're gonna make 2 highlights from gameplay for exposure on Twitter and Instagram. What this does is show them that they'll get diversified content in multiple platforms. So it's not that you're just going to be streaming it, 2 nights a week or something like that. They can actually see, okay, there will be content that lives on Twitter or Instagram that will be shareable and playable by other people, not solely those who are just tuning into your stream or watching your YouTube video. Let's say that we want to give 2 tweets about the game. Now, again, all of this is subjective. Different studios and different companies have different requirements of what they ask whenever they're partnering with content creators. And then we're just going to put open to other requests should you see fit. This shows someone that you understand the nature of influencer marketing and that there may be other requests that they give to you. There are always certain things within campaigns and activations that a company wants to be highlighted. And so putting this sentence in there or something similar will help them to see, hey, I understand that. There may be certain requirements that you have for me. And based on the titles, my community and I primarily enjoy. Blank game is a great fit as it aligns with my brand. And I believe that my branding and community makes sense for your campaign. Change the wording on this. It's not very strong, but for the sake of the example, again, we're just showing I'm a good fit to receive this key or receive this product or partner with you because it aligns with my community and my community's goals as well. Whenever you're partnering with a company, it has to be a good fit on both sides. Basically, all this does is it gives the person reviewing this application a good feeling for whether you're a good fit for their brand. Obviously, brands have goals and values themselves, and they want to partner with content creators who align with those goals and values as well. And then lastly, put a disclaimer, all appropriate FTC guidelines will be followed for this campaign. Now, this is super, super important. So listen closely here. I'm going to leave a link to the FTC guidelines for content creators. If you have never read it before or don't understand what it is, I highly, highly urge you to do so. Putting a disclaimer like this, showing that you understand what the FTC guidelines are and what you need to do in order to follow them throughout the campaign and the activation, is hugely important. So this is showing, hey, you can trust me with guidelines here because I'm going to take good care of your brand. So then we want to move this slide up as well. Okay, so if we look at this from the top, we just have the title screen or the title slide, about you, a little timeline, and then what value you provide to the brand. That way, from the very beginning, they get a feel for who you are as a content creator and what you're asking. Very clearly stated here. I'm requesting a key for X game. I'm requesting such and such product for review, whatever it may be. Here's what I'm willing to offer you for that. And here is why it makes sense for you to partner with us over someone else. This is why my brand as a content creator aligns with your brand as a company. And then we have metrics. Maybe we move this up slightly. And again, you don't have to use all of these slides. I recommend keeping it under 8 because if I read through this, I would want to be able to go through it within 30 to 60 seconds and be able to make a decision pretty much right then and there whether I plan to work with you or want to engage further with you. All right, so we've created the pitch deck that we want to submit. So then how do we get it to them? So if we go up to the top right where it says present, we can either present if we're doing it live, or for this case, we want to download it. The download file type for this template is an MP4 video simply because one of the slides has an animation in it. But we're going to change that to PDF standard. I found that it's high enough quality where it looks good in an attachment and it's not too big of a document. So we're just going to hit PDF standard, all pages, and then download. I highly recommend running all of this through a spell check before submitting it to any companies. Also, something very, very important to note, do not reach out to brands that you do not align with, and don't be reaching out to brands that have nothing to do with your content. So if you don't drink coffee, don't be reaching out to coffee companies for sponsorship. You won't be able to influence your community if you don't fully believe in a product. So anyways, I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments. Feel free to click on the links below, download the example deck that we just made here, along with the FTC guidelines, read through those. Let me know if you have any questions. Did I miss anything here? Other community and partnership managers, feel free to input. I would be happy to iterate on this and upload a new document in the future. So hope you all have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching.